I think I felt very destroyed at that time. I was just a girl trying to pursue my dream. And then I was just a girl that was trying to bring good business back to Ipoh, and I realized actually that's not the case. Not everyone would agree to what you're doing.
You're listening to Foodie Canteen. I'm your host, Castle Lim. In this podcast, I sit down with Southeast Asia's leaders, entrepreneurs, and content creators in the F&B space. This is where you'll learn about their trade secrets. Or maybe you'll just find them as your next door neighbor. This show is supported by Good Foodie Media. For foodies who want to connect to the world through food, they curate the best spots to eat and drink in Malaysia, Bangkok, and Singapore. Check them out on Instagram for more. Purpose. It is a buzzword we learn of at a young age, but something we never really discover until we grow up. What is our role in this life? My guest today found hers when she was just 18 years old, after she asked herself this question. If my parents spend hundreds of thousands on me to pursue a degree, then what happens next? The answer to that question was clear. She then shifted her focus from a business degree to pursuing a diploma in pastry at Le Cordon Bleu Paris, making pastries for the elite of France. Today, she comes on the show to tell us the truth behind landing jobs in multiple Michelin star restaurants, opening her first pastry shop in her hometown Ipoh, and the bold pursuit of her purpose-driven dream.
I think I grew up, I think like many other young people, I grew up wanting to probably go into studying management or business admin, the common mainstream things that everyone is doing. It seems like the right thing to do.
And, the one that can make money
doing,
and have jobs after college.
Yeah, it's stable, it sounded right because all your friends are either probably accountings or I don't know, being a doctor, a lawyer, and what else. Yeah. So, but I think for me, I've always, I think being influenced by my family as well, coming from a business background. So I thought maybe, studying business administrative would make sense for me. But it only started, the whole idea of being a pastry chef only started when I was 18. Yeah. So back then, what happened was I was waiting to reallocate to UK to further my studies in the UK for university, and then it then happened because I have a little gap in between, and I was waiting. So I started an online cake shop called Wonderbar.
That's right.
And that's how it kickstarted. It was out of hobby. It was out of like my love for crafting and baking.
Yeah.
So I started baking at home, and it turns out surprisingly well that people loved it. And I was just baking cupcakes, making fondants, mini figures, and then I started supplying for Espresso Lab Ipoh and some cafes around. So it was then I started asking questions to myself, like, hey, like, is truly getting this whole business degree something that I really want to do in life? What if I spend 100,000 to get a degree? What's next?
Okay, yeah.
What's next? Where should I go after? Yeah. So,
and like
I think the idea came along that journey. Yeah.
Yeah, like you were saying, you were planning on furthering your studies in the UK, and then you took like a break and did ends Wonderbar. Like, tell us the story. Like, how did you end up in Paris instead?
Oh, so I was actually contemplating whether I should further my studies or whether I should actually fulfill what the society is saying, because it seems to be the normal path to be, getting a degree, furthering your studies, you make your parents proud, you graduate, and then you throw your graduation hat. That sounded normal, but asked myself, will I regret if I'm not pursuing pastry? So, because I think making that decision to actually switch from getting a business degree to a diploma in pastry, I think that shift is pretty big, and I would say I was also afraid of how people looked at me at that time. But I kept asking myself, will I regret?
That was like 9 years
it?
ago, right? When pastry wasn't as like hype as a thing as it is right now, where everyone's selling on Instagram and like we are all looking for like beautiful pastries and cakes for like birthday parties. It's like a thing now, but 9 years ago, it wasn't really a popular thing. Maybe we're selling on Facebook Marketplace or something.
Yes. Right. I think now a lot of people will be influenced by celebrity chefs. They sort of has set this benchmark and status for chefs. But back then, I think 10 years ago, it was like, only people that cannot strive well in studies go for culinary, or that's what uncle and aunties would think. Yeah.
But so, you had kind of this question to ask yourself if this is the degree, should you get a degree or you want to pursue pastry also, because you had N's Wonderbar to see like it is a proven result, right? Like Espresso Lab is taking ingredients from you and you kind of feel like, hey, it's growing, there's fruits.
I think I grew up, my dad has always taught me that if you work for something that you're passionate about, then you won't need to work forever, And I think as cliche as it sounds, I needed that reason to convince myself that I truly love this thing, and I am able to do it for the rest of my life. I don't want to be studying 3-4 years in a degree and later on find out that, it might not be something that I like, 9-to-5 kind of job or being in a bank. That might not be what I love doing. So I guess it was giving myself a shot and also telling myself that there's no regrets. And if I'm going to do it, then I will do my best and make sure that this works. Since I'm the one that made that decision, then, I will go for it and do my best out of it. Yeah. So that was when I brought it up to my parents. And surprisingly, they were very supportive. And they believe that it doesn't matter what you do in life as long as you are putting your heart into it and as long as you love what you do and you will strive in it. Yeah, that's when I decided to go to Paris. I guess the best in the world for pastry. Yeah, and right. I want to do it where I am able to get exposed, where I'm able to connect with the best. I would say. Yeah, that's how the whole Paris came into picture.
Yeah. And I mean, after you graduated from the Cordon Bleu, you worked in a couple of Michelin star restaurants, which I'm going to try to pronounce them. Pierre Hermé Paris, Alain Ducasse Paris, Atelier de Joie Robuchon, and so on. How do you find this experience? Like, what was it like stepping into a big leagues as a relatively fresh graduate in the beginning?
It was very eye-opening, to be honest. Very humbling process. Yeah. Sometimes as we graduate from culinary school, we thought we know it all. Yeah. But then as you step into places like that, it's another ball game. Yeah. So I think it's very humbling process. It's eye-opening. Yeah. It's definitely once in a lifetime kind of experience. You get to work with the best of the best. Probably like they are located on the top of the pyramid, in terms of F&Bs, in terms of fine dining or French cuisines. It was very, very eye-opening. It has taught me a lot in process. I think not just molding in terms of my skill sets, but also me as a person, my character, helping me to be more persevered and to press on it. Definitely, it's a very intense kitchen because it's competitive. Everyone in that kitchen are selected very intentionally. You have to go through interviews over interviews over interviews, and also to be one of those an employee of a top Michelin star restaurant. I think it brings a lot of pride to everyone in there as well. So I think everyone are just doing your best. If you're not the best of what you can do, then you're out of the game, So it's definitely every day. It's just in a very competitive environment, and but it's a way of molding us as well, like molding me especially, throughout the process. And I think one of the best part throughout the experience was also being able to see a lot of different kind of ingredients. And especially because coming from Malaysia, there's no 4 seasons, so there are a lot of things that you won't be able to get in Malaysia. So like working in Michelin star restaurants, I get to get exposed to a lot of very expensive ingredients, fruits of different seasons. That's where I was being trained in terms of different taste palettes, different season of fruits, of where what kind of fruits from which region it produces what kind of flavors, so yeah.
Let's be real for a second. For our listeners who's listening, maybe they have a culinary like pastry dream like you. But how do you get into this Michelin star restaurants? Like, is easy to, now that you have walked the journey, like you said, it's going through rounds and rounds of interviews, you're selected. But how do you actually get into to get them to notice you and end up working for them?
You want to know the truth?
Yes, we want to. They want to.
It was a very tough journey, to be honest. It's not like I had connection or whatever.
Right.
Not at all. But after graduating from Le Cordon Bleu, I had an opportunity to do my internship in EP8.
Yes.
But later on, I realized that I can't just stop there. I have to go further,
Yes.
So I know that if I want to do it, I want to go to the best in Paris. So every single day I would go to the hotel. I will go to Le Maurice. I will go to Plaza Athénée. It's one of the most prestigious hotels in Paris, and the Alain Ducasse is located in the hotel. So I would go there every day. I will go to the reception. I'll tell them that, hey, I'm here to apply for a job in the kitchen. So this is my resume. And then they will send me to the back door where, the staff would enter, like, oh, you just go there, and there will be this guard over there, and they will just ask you to, just leave it here, because, they couldn't be bothered also. So I think I went there every day, almost every day.
So you just show up with your resume and like, hi, I'm here. I was here yesterday.
Yeah.
Any news? Any updates? Wow.
Yeah, kind of thing. Or I would ask them like, oh, can I meet your pastry chef? I'm trying to look for a job. I'm trying to look for a position, hoping they would, just meet me and talk to me. So I think I did that for, I can't remember exactly how long, but probably a month or so or two. Wow. Yeah. And finally the pastry chef came out and met me. She was actually last year and the year before the best pastry chef of the world.
Wow.
In the world. Yeah, the best pastry chef in the world. So Jessica. So she was kind enough to come out and meet me, and then and gave me an opportunity, I would say. And then the HR called me and asked me like if I would be interested to have an interview. Yeah. So yeah, that was the story.
Wow. So it's not like you are in school, in college, and then you send your resumes out, or your professor, like, I mean, if like the normal college education, right, your professor put in a word for you, but it's literally you just going to the restaurant and like showing up every day for a month until she's willing to meet you. And then, you know what? I'll give you a shot.
Yeah, not at all with connection, but because we are foreigners, first of all, it's not easy for them to actually hire foreigners. So we will have to do our own visas and all these things. So it's so like with school, they won't be able to help us in that sense. Yeah. So yeah.
So after all this experience, what like lessons or you'd say characteristics from your experience have you like placed into at Patisserie right now in your own business?
The spirit of excellence, I would say. Definitely. Being trained in a fine dining environment, everything is very detail oriented. Everything is about detail. Even if you're cutting an orange, the measurement, every single one has to be the same, you know? So I think that is one thing that I was being trained and how I was being trained. So I brought that into art and hoping to recreate fine desserts and hoping that this kind of fine pastries from fine dining setting would be able to appear in Ipoh as well. And the people here are being able to enjoy it without having to travel all the way to Paris or all the way to, Kuala Lumpur to experience them. But yet here in Ipoh, you are able to try and taste them, to enjoy that craftsmanship, I would say. Yeah.
And when you first started, how do you think the Ipohrians received it? Like, did they receive it well, or you had to? Like, was it something new to them, or you had to like show them and present to them?
There was definitely a process of educating our consumers, our customers. Back then, I think I started 3 years ago in my old location. It wasn't. At first, people would tell me that, hey, you are selling this cafe, you must sell food, you have to have pasta, you have to have sandwiches, fruit juices, so that, the local would accept it and
this
they
is
can
what
come
you're
over and
familiar
eat.
with in the cafe.
Yes, exactly. And yeah, they would think like, you're only selling cakes. What can you make out of only selling cakes, But I think I wanted to be authentic. I wanted to bring the whole idea of a pastry shop, a Parisian pastry shop, back to Ipoh. And if it's not what I am, what I'm good at, I don't want to sell it to you. But whatever that you're eating on your plate, that's what I am. I'm good at, and I want to present you my best. So that is my belief. So that's why even until now, we are only selling pastries. We are not selling, say, pasta or food. We don't call ourselves a cafe. We are a pastry shop in town. Yeah.
That was Anli. You're listening to Foodie Canteen. After this break, Anne shares why, despite the prestige, lifestyle, and weather, she left the city of love and macarons to return to Malaysia. She also shares her creative process behind the creation of At Patisserie's menu, utilizing all of her 5 senses. This show is supported by Good Foodie Media. For foodie who wants to connect to the world through food, that's where you go. Find Penang Foodie, Johor Foodie, KL Foodie, Singapore Foodie, Halal Foodie, and Bangkok Foodie on Instagram. They curate the best spots to eat and drink in these cities.
I adapted the word "être" from Raison, that. So it means purpose, reason to live. Yeah. So like I have mentioned before, I grew up like any other teenagers, like trying to look for a path where it's right to move on in life. And I was also lost for a moment of time. But I realized that it's okay. It's okay to be lost, but always know what's the purpose in life, in our life, and go towards that. So I think naming it at, because I want it to be an encouragement to a lot of the younger generations now, let it be the millennials or the Gen Z. I want to encourage them to live with a purpose, because I work with a lot of community locally and even in Cambodia. So I've met a lot of young generation that were quite lost in life. They
don't know what they want
to
do.
Yes. So I think I wanted to be an example. Like, hey, it's okay to be lost, but at least let's try and let's find our purpose together. So my core belief is I want it to be a platform for young generations to be able to use their skill, to be able to brush their skills, to be able to even learn a skill, or to grow here in art, to find your own purpose, to excel in what you're doing. So, and I find that my purpose in life, not just, presenting good desserts to my customers, but also creating a platform for the current generation, the younger ones to grow and to build their life. Yeah.
And what was one of the biggest challenge you faced when opening or even running at?
One of the biggest challenge, I think, I did not. Okay, for the first location that I had, I did not actually. I would call it a failure. Because back then there was actually some issue with the licensing with my first location. So what happened was we applied for the license, and then everything was running so well for the first few months. And then people were actually quite accepting towards our new concept, and a lot of the old customers came to support, from end to Wonderbar. But then there was a neighbor that wasn't very happy with us for having a business there. So he complained to the officials. So he would complain every day. And the officials came over and said that, hey, we're very sorry because this so-called neighbor and has been complaining, and he has gotten the community around the area to come against us. So we had to retrieve your whatever license that you're having. So it was so disappointing. I think that was one of my biggest challenge at that time.
Yeah,
because I tried to talk to that specific neighbor, and I was being humiliated. I was being, literally like being pointed on the head, like, hey, you shouldn't be here. You should leave this community. Like, yeah. So I was very, I think I felt very destroyed at that time. I was just a girl trying to pursue my dream. And then I was just a girl that was trying to bring good business back to Ipoh, And I realized actually that's not the case. Not everyone would agree to what you're doing because maybe you're having good business, but it may cause inconvenience for them because there were crowd, there are cars, I think picking myself up from that season of time to continue believing that that there's still a purpose in life, that is still what I'm called to do. That's still a reason why I'm back in Ipoh. I think it was that period of time that was definitely my biggest challenge throughout my whole journey of setting up at. I was so lost for a good period of time, a year or so, and just trying to, pick up myself and still press on, still pushed on, still believe that, hey, there's still hope. That, this failing doesn't mean it is. It's everything. It's the end of everything. Yeah.
I think it's like you came back with a purpose. You want to set this up and like in that moment you kind of doubted yourself, even though you got the license already, and then this came out of nowhere. But I want to ask, like, did you knew that when you left Malaysia to go and study in Paris, you knew that you want to come back and make desserts for the Ipohrians, or at some point you're like, you know what, Paris is nice. I get to work in these well-known restaurants and I'm learning a lot. It's competitive here and it's making me better, sharpening my skills and talents. Do you at any point thought that you want to stay there and not come back, or your initial mindset was like, I will come back no matter what to Malaysia?
I think it was a later. Yeah, I think I was enjoying my time, definitely. Paris is such a beautiful city. It's so beautiful. People there are amazing. The exposure. But I think it was later that I know my time is up. As my visa ended, and and also because my family are in Malaysia, so I want to be closer to them as well. And
because we always hear like our uncles, aunties, parents say, hey, it's better out there, you know, you make more money, and then like our country is, you know, like all these other things that we've listened to over and over again. Like, why not you go out there and maybe your nieces and your family can be there, like it's a better future for them. We hear this, like we grew up with this, you know.
Yeah, I think it comes back to the purpose of my life. I think yes, over there I may make a lot of money. I'm always cooking for maybe the richest people around, you know, because I mean only they can afford such expensive restaurants. But I think I felt like there needed to be someone to come back to Ipoh. You know, if everyone is having that mindset to leave Ipoh, then who is going to build Ipoh? Of course, I'm not saying that I have the ability to do so, but I want to at least be a part of helping Ipoh to grow into a more happening city. Because Penang and KL has always been so happening. There's so many things going on. You know, art festivals, F&Bs, you know, everything is happening. But in Ipoh, it's like a lion that is about to be awakened. There's so much potential here. There's so much potential here, but it's just that a lot of young people tend to, you know, choose to leave. And I think I felt like there needs to be someone to come back to at least do a little something. It doesn't matter whether the impact is big or not. At least I felt like I'm trying. I'm trying to make people great. You know, I'm trying to bring something back to contribute to my community here. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I've visited I think last year, and it's just amazing what you're doing there. Let's talk a bit about your creative process. Can you bring us through the process when creating at Patisserie's menu? Like, what are the main things you focus on?
I think I focus on the five senses: what I hear, what I feel, what I see, what I smell, and what I taste. Yeah. So in all my pastries, I would focus on texture, presentation. How would the customer see it? You know, will they get this enjoyment as they see it? The pretty design out of it, or how would they feel? You know, the moment when they eat it. Does it give them a bitter note, or does it give them, you know, does that bring them joy as well? You know, these sensations. Yeah. So these are things that I focus on too. Yeah. But of course, we prioritize not just the look, but the flavors and the texture of it, because just having good looks without solid flavors, it's like putting on makeup. That's it. You know, there's nothing inside. But you know, having good flavor profile, balanced, and also good texture.
Yeah.
You know, it's not just all about, you know, it's cream, or it's all about just a cake, you know, but there's different textures and layers in it. So I prioritize that. Yeah.
And like you said before, like the ingredients in Malaysia are different from those in European countries. Some may be seasonal. How do you adapt these Malaysian ingredients to create French pastries?
I don't really do it intentionally, to be honest. I won't intentionally like look for Malaysian ingredients just to create a certain dessert. But I think my creative process would come from things around me, what inspires me around, such as I created this hometown tart. It's something that I wanted to be significant to my hometown, dedicating to my hometown.
Yeah.
So, and the first thing when you think about Ipoh is Ipoh white coffee.
Yes.
So that's where the inspiration comes from, and there's a story as I create it. And I don't want it to just be, because everyone is using local products, that's why I have to do it. But not really in that case, yeah. So Hometown Tart was created because I want something to, I want it to represent Ipoh, and also my background, my roots, yeah. And it's how my life was. I was from Ipoh, and then I was trained in France, and that's the whole combination of this dessert. Yeah, it's Ipoh. It's using Ipoh ingredients, but yet at the same time,
it's
I'm
like
using
4
French
different types of coffee,
techniques. Yes, more of 4 different layers of intensity. Yeah, so there's this slightly light layer on the top. It's fluffy. It's very smooth, and then slowly it comes to a medium intensity of coffee flavor, and then the third layer, it's like a punch. It's like a punch. It's bitter, with a salty ending taste. Yeah, and then the fourth layer, it's something goes back balancing up everything. Yeah, so yeah.
Would you say that is one of your proudest creations?
One of them, yes, for sure. Yeah, I think something that represents me. Yeah.
Any new projects coming up next?
Yes, for sure. We recently, we are actually about to launch our second outlet. It's called Ferment Boulangerie. It's focusing on sourdough breads, baguette, all the European breads, basically. Yeah, so we have at Patisserie focusing on French desserts. So ferment will be a lot focusing on fermentation items and also breads, like a boulangerie, in Paris.
That is so exciting, and what you're doing for Ipoh and the pastries and the good stuff you are bringing to them. And finally, my final question is, what is one advice you would give to our listeners who's looking to perhaps start their own business in their hometowns or anywhere in Malaysia, just like you?
I wouldn't call it an advice because I'm learning myself, but maybe something to share. Stay hungry, stay humble. Yeah, and of course, dare to dream, I would say.
Yeah,
because having that ability to dream is very important, because that's how you will vision things. And if you don't even dare to dream, then don't talk about the next step.
You have just listened to Anne's story on Foodie Canteen. This show is produced by me, your host Castle Lim, and written by Sulin Chang. Foodie Canteen podcast is made possible by the excellent team at Good Foodie Media. Check us out on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at Foodie Canteen for more. Follow us for brand new episodes every Friday. Thank you for listening.